Here's every mistake I made scaling from one location to many, so you don't have to make them. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. You've got one location, it's doing okay. Hey, maybe it's doing well, and you're starting to wonder, when is the right time to open up a second? How do I scale this? How do I go from one clinic to many without blowing up everything that I've built before? I've been through it. I have done it the wrong way, and I have done it what I think is the right way. In our company, Genesis, we went from one location to 18 locations in under 24 months. Then we went from 18 locations to over 80 locations in less than 6 years, and it almost destroyed everything. Not because we weren't growing, we were growing too fast. And we were growing broke. We were spending money on systems and processes and staff that our revenue couldn't actually catch up. And we had to cut out 60 locations before we found our actual real footing. We went from 80 down to 25. And those 25 now are more profitable ever than the 80 were. And those 25 are now more profitable than ever. So today, I'm going to walk you through the real mistakes, the ones nobody talks about because it makes them look bad, the ones that will cost you years of your life and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, if you don't know about them going into this. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do differently if I was starting over today. So let's start with the stuff that will destroy you. The moves that look like scaling but are actually just compounding chaos. First mistake, opening your second location before your first one is really full. I've had this conversation more times than I can count. A clinic owner has one location open 2 days a week, not packed on those days, schedule's got gaps, and they're already telling me they're ready to open their second clinic. No, absolutely not. Don't do it. Fill your first clinic at least 4 full days a week before you even start thinking about a second location. Because here's what happens when you open a second location before the first one is fully optimized. You now have two half-empty clinics instead of one great one, two sets of rent, two sets of payroll, two sets of problems, and your EBITDA per location lowers, which means your enterprise value tanks, which means if you ever go to sell or raise capital, your business looks like a mess. Second mistake, growing your team faster than your systems. This one is subtle and it will sneak up on you. You hire providers because you're busy. Then you hire front desk staff because the phones are ringing. Then you hire another provider. And before you know it, you have a team of 8 people and nobody really knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Who owns what decision or what the standard is for literally anything. And the chaos then starts. Providers doing things their own way, front desk staff making promises that contradict each other, patients getting inconsistent experiences, and that inconsistency is a cancer. It kills retention, it kills reviews, it kills your brand. You have to build the systems before you build the headcount. The third mistake, hiring good people into roles they're not ready for. This is the one that hurts the most because you love these people. They've been with you since the beginning. They work hard, they care about the patients, they care about you. And so you promote them into a leadership role because you think they deserve it. And because honestly, you're desperate for someone to take things off your plate. And then they struggle. Not because they're bad people, because leadership is a skill. Being a great provider or a great front desk coordinator does not automatically make someone a great clinic director. We made this mistake over and over at Genesis. Promoted great people into leadership roles they weren't ready for, and then spent years waiting for them to grow into it. Hire leaders from outside your clinic who've already been in those roles. It's more expensive, yes, but it is worth every single dollar. Fourth mistake, scaling your locations without scaling your documentation. At one point, we had 70 different document versions of the same service across different locations because each clinic had built their kind of own version of how they did things. No consistency, no standard, no ability to train a new hire the same way in Clinic 1 as in Clinic 15. When I look back, the single biggest thing that would have accelerated our growth is cleaning up the documentation early. We went from hundreds of service documents down to 50. We went from 1,800 service codes in our EMR down to 50. That cleanup took months and it was painful, but that is what allowed us to actually scale in a way that was replicable. Document everything before you need to replicate it. And fifth mistake, chasing locations for ego instead of profit. I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted 100 locations. I thought that was the goal, and I wanted to do anything to get there fast. More boxes, bigger footprint, more impressive to say at a conference. And I learned the hard way that private equity doesn't care how many boxes you have. They care what each box actually makes. If you got one clinic doing $1 million in net profit and one doing zero, they average those two and they say each clinic makes 500,000 on average, and your valuation drops significantly. 100 clinics at break even is worth less than 10 clinics with strong EBITDA. A lot less. Ego is expensive. Build profitable, not big. Now let's talk about what actually works. The moves that actually scale a med spa business without destroying what you've built. Move 1. Fill your first clinic completely before you open a second. I know I already said this, but I cannot say it enough. 4 full days a week with a wait list, that's when you're ready. Because when you open your second location, you're going to be splitting your attention and your best staff and your time between two places. You need the first clinic to be able to run without you before you go build the second one. And the only way to know it can run without you is to actually step away and see if it holds together. Move 2. Start with services that don't require upfront inventory. This one I learned from my own experience. Weight loss, hormone therapy, sexual health services, anything where the patient pays you first and you can order the supplies later or the product afterwards, that's what you should do. When I started Genesis, we were stocking shelves with thousands of dollars of product before a single patient had paid for it. It was terrible. Cash out before cash in. That model is brutal when you're small. So flip it. Offer services where you can collect payment at the appointment and order the product afterwards. Your cash flow situation will look completely different. Move 3. Build your clinic director role before you need it, not after you need it. The clinic director is your local integrator, your on the ground general. They run the daily operation, protect the culture, manage the team, push the schedule, and make the decisions that you used to make. Without one, you are personally the ceiling on your clinic. With one who's bought into your core values and your clinic vision, your clinic can function and grow whether or not you walk through the door every single day. This is the hire that unlocks your ability to actually be a CEO instead of a shift supervisor. Make it before you feel ready. Move 4, write your core values before you hire anyone, not after you have a culture problem. Before, your core values are not on a poster on a wall. They are the filter through which every single hire, firing, operational decision, and every patient experience gets evaluated. What does your clinic stand for? How do your people treat each other? What do you do when something goes wrong with a patient? What behavior is completely unacceptable regardless of clinical skill level? Write these things down, put them in your job postings, ask about them in every single interview. Measure people against them once they're on your team. When you have to fire someone, and you will, fire on core values, not on performance alone. Because when your team watches you fire someone for breaking a core value, they understand that you actually mean what you say. That's how culture gets real. Move 5. Go slow on expansion and fast on optimization. The biggest misconception in this industry is that opening more locations is how you build wealth. It's not. Optimizing your existing locations is how you build wealth. Before you open a new location, ask yourself, is this clinic running at full capacity? Is the EBITDA healthy? Does it have a clinic director who can run it independently? Is the team stable and bought into the culture? If the answer to any of those is no, you're not ready to scale. Solve those problems first, because whatever is broken in one location will be twice as broken in 2 locations. Problems don't get easier when you add locations, they actually multiply. Move 6, build your metrics infrastructure early. You cannot improve what you don't measure. You need to know your close rate on every service, your cost per acquisition by channel, your lifetime patient value by service category, your retention rate at 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, your EBITDA per location, your average revenue per patient per month, everything. These numbers should be on a dashboard. You look at weekly, not monthly, not quarterly, weekly, because that's how fast things move in a growing clinic. And when you see a number go the wrong direction, you want to catch it in week 2, not at the end of the quarter. Move 7, hire for impact, not the cheapest option. When you are building toward a real business, the most expensive person is the one who doesn't drive results. A clinic director who evaluates your close rate, stabilizes your team, and protects your culture is worth far more than what you pay them. A VP of operations who builds systems that allow you to open 3 clinics without adding chaos is worth far more than the salary. We've hired people at Genesis who, yes, their salary was a stretch, but those people have driven 20, 30% growth in the clinics that they touched. You don't get that growth by hiring the cheapest version of every role. You get it by hiring for impact and then letting people run. And here's the last thing I'll say about scaling. It's going to take longer than you think. It's going to be harder than it looks. You're going to have to make decisions that cost you money. You're going to grow something. You're going to make decisions that cost you money. You're going to grow something and then have to tear it down and rebuild it better. Every successful clinic owner I know has gone through it. The ones who made it weren't the ones who made perfect decisions. They were the ones who made the fast decisions, corrected fast when they were wrong, and stayed in the game long enough to win. Move fast, correct fast, don't stop. If you want the exact scaling playbook I use at Genesis, the hiring frameworks, the SOP templates, the core value structure, just message me on Instagram and I'll send it over to you for free. And if you're ready to go even deeper, click the link below.